Hello everyone and welcome again to Minimalist Gourmet, where today I'll be teaching you how to make potatoes au gratin. This classic and comforting side dish pairs well with so many foods and is surprisingly easy to make. I'll teach you how. Let's get started. In a large pot over medium heat, we're going to put in 3 tablespoons of butter and start that on to melt. Add in 1/4 of a diced white onion and stir this occasionally for about 4 to 5 minutes. You're looking to have the onions take on just a little bit of a brown color and become soft. And after cooking the onions for 5 minutes, we're going to add in 2 to 3 cloves of garlic that have been minced fine and stir that around. Now you only want to cook this for about 30 seconds here before we move on with our flour. Now we have 3 tablespoons of butter in the pot, so we're going to use 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour scattered across the top. We're making our roux here, and we want to make sure that our flour gets really well mixed with all of that butter here and has a chance to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes to cook out any of that raw flour flavor that might be there. Now to this, we're going to add salt and a very generous dose of salt. Remember that we have a lot of potatoes we're cooking later. We want to make sure that everything is seasoned well throughout. Add a dash of black pepper for good measure, and 1 cup of milk. Here I'm going to use 2% milk, but you can absolutely use a lighter milk if you want to keep this dish a little bit lighter. Once you add this cup of milk, you do want to stir this in immediately to the roux to try to prevent lumps from forming. 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream goes in. If you want to keep this dish lighter, you can certainly just use another 1/2 cup of that same milk that you used before. Again, make sure that this is really well mixed in so that the roux is evenly distributed and can work its magic. Just like this, after stirring and a few more minutes of heating, the roux has thickened our base very nicely. Once your sauce is starting to simmer lightly and thickened, turn off the heat and add in our cheese. You'll need a total of 2 cups of cheese for this recipe, but only 1 cup of it goes in right now, or about 4 ounces. I'm using a sharp cheddar cheese, but anything like a cheddar, a Gruyere, Parmesan, they will work great, and feel free to use different combinations of these as you like. Stir it in and the residual heat from the sauce will melt it through. Once melted, you are left with this delicious and ooey gooey sauce. To this, we are going to add our potatoes. Here I have 4 medium-large russet potatoes that I've cut into slices. You can see about this thick, about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. You want to look for conformity, so make sure they're all the same size when you cut them so they all finish cooking at the same time. We're going to put these right into our cheese sauce. Hit these on top with a bit more salt to make sure everything is seasoned well. This is why I chose such a large pot to make my cheese sauce in, was so that I could add my potatoes and stir it all at once. I find this to be substantially easier and a lot quicker than laying out your potatoes in the bottom of a dish by hand and then pouring the sauce in and doing that in layers. You can certainly do that if you'd like, but this is an easy method that will work any day of the week. Just keep stirring this until all that cheese mixture is evenly distributed through every piece of potato. Should be about 30 to 40 seconds. I've prepped up my 8x8 pan. 9x9 or similar will work just as well. I put a little bit of butter in there and spread it all around with my fingers. No stick cooking spray would work just as well. Pour your potato and cheese sauce mixture into your prepared pan and spread this out using your spatula into an even layer. Make sure to get it down into the corners so that everything cooks evenly and finishes at the same time. I also like to give my dish a jiggle here to distribute that cheese sauce evenly and to work out any air bubbles there might be between the slices of potato. The other half of the cheese goes right on top of our potatoes. This will form a delicious and beautiful crust on top in the oven as it bakes. You know, I was this many years old when I learned the difference between potatoes au gratin and scalloped potatoes. Apparently, potatoes au gratin contain cheese and scalloped potatoes don't. Place in a preheated 350-degree oven for about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. And 75 minutes later, this is what my potatoes au gratin look like. If you would like a little bit less brown top, you can cover with aluminum foil and cook for the first 45 minutes covered, remove it, and then cook it for the rest of the time uncovered. But boy, does it look delicious. We definitely want to check to make sure it's done. We're going to do this by taking the tip of our knife and sticking it in about 4 or 5 different places to check for doneness. You want to make sure that it goes in here with basically no resistance, but if they're not quite done, just stick it back in the oven and allow it to cook for an additional 15 or 20 minutes. Allow this to sit at room temperature for at least 15 or 20 minutes before serving because it holds on to heat for quite some time and will still be rocket hot. The potatoes are silky and fluffy. That sauce is delicious and creamy. That cheese on top is golden and crispy. It really is the best of all worlds here. Guys, it really is just that easy to make this delicious dish in your own kitchen tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you again here real soon on another episode of Minimalist Gourmet.